I know it's summer. I know it is summer and you are probably outside in the sun. I know that I am probably outside in the sun, but I still have block of the month for you. And I want to make sure that you have it so that you can keep making this year's 2021's quilt, which is super fun. It's small, but darling. And the little pieces on the inside of this particular block is so cute, okay? So, if you don't have the PDF, you can grab it at karinagardner.com, or of course, my VIPs get it for free. I just send it on Thursday with your email. And I think that's it. I think we can get started actually sewing it. Okay, let's talk about measurements. So you need a 2.5 inch square for your centerpiece. Mine's blue. You need 8 of these white 1.5 inch squares. You need 4, I've been calling them black, 1.5 inch by 4.5 inch black rectangles. And then you need 4 white and 4 red, or whatever color you're using. And these need to be 2 inch pieces. And these are gonna be your half square triangles, because the fun thing about this block is that it has this teeny tiny little modern square or star right in the center of it. So we're gonna start with this. You can see I've already drawn a pencil diagonal line through all of these white pieces. You're going to put them together with a red piece, and you're gonna sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance on either side of that pencil line. So I'm gonna do that to all of these right now. Okay, once you've done that, you are going to trim them in half, just like here, right on your pencil line. And then you're going to, this is such a tiny thing that you are just going to trim off your, with a pair of scissors, your little peaks that are peeking out of these half square triangles. So I'll show you that. Okay, so you can use your rotary blade, or if you're lazy like me, once you press these open, just trim off these little peaks right here. Now I am gonna press these towards the red. Okay, here we go. So I've got all these little pieces. Just to make it easy on myself, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna trim all of these little edges off. You could trim these down if you wanted to. They should be little 1.5 inch squares, or you can wait and you can trim it once it's been put on the block. These are so tiny, and there isn't a ton of leniency in terms of just extra fabric. Okay, so when you lay this out, I'm just gonna bring this over here so you can look at it. When you lay this out, you're laying it out like any little modern square. And you can see these are kind of big. We might have to trim them down to make it work, because see how much bigger those are? And they need to be tiny. So let's just lay it out and see kind of where we're really at. I don't think I've ever sewn a little star this tiny before, so this is a first for me as well. Here we go, here we go. Oh, okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and sew them together this way to make sure that I'm good that way. And then I'm gonna kind of measure it against this 2.5 inch square in the middle. Okay, you can see it's just a little bit bigger, and I think what I'm probably going to do is center them and then trim off the edges. I'm feeling very, very nervous that I'll cut too much off. And since this is the center of this block, you want to make sure that you're okay. So let me show you, because you can see, like, look how much bigger that one ended up than that one. Okay, so I'm gonna start with these corner ones. I'm gonna corner side ones. I'm gonna center this right here on this block and then sew it on. I don't know if you've made many things, but you just have to be a little more vigilant and careful, because it so easily gets off. Can you see that? Okay, and so we're gonna do the same thing on this side. We're gonna center it just like that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is press these down, just like that. And then we're gonna take it and go ahead and trim them down so that it all perfectly lines up. Okay, You see that? So for the top, I am gonna go ahead and trim this one down just to make sure that I'm good to go, because this one is really far off. And then the rest of it, I think I'm good on. Okay, so for this, the one issue we have is that we actually need to sew on white blocks on either side. So when it comes to this one, it gets a little trickier. Let's see if I can show you guys very well. Let me move this pink mat out of my way. It gets a bit trickier because we need to make sure there's still, like I can't just trim it down to here because then it will get sewn in. It's actually looking pretty close to 1/4 inch seam allowance here, maybe a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is lay it on here. You can place a pin where you think it needs to be, or you can eyeball the first one. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, can you see here how I've kind of made sure it lined up? And it's okay, this one I know is a little bit longer, and that's okay as well. So you could be cutting things down as you go, or you can do this little method I'm showing you. Now you can see I've got quite a bit left over here. So what I wanna do is make sure I'm a 1/4 seam allowance, which is about right there. And I'm gonna sew along that little line, okay? And you could pin it too, if you're feeling kind of nervous about it. My whole point is just to get everything evened up and lined up. Okay, so you can see how that fits beautifully right there. And so from here, you can trim off the top if you want, and then go ahead and sew that side on. Okay, so I'm just gonna press that back, and then I'm gonna repeat all of those steps with the other side. Okay, so this final block I am gonna trim down. So your final size needs to be a 4.5 inch center. And I'm just going to trim mine up so that it's a nice, clean center. Okay, look at how adorable that looks. It's so tiny. It's a baby square. Okay, so you're gonna finish off this entire thing by doing your black pieces on either side, your white pieces on either side, and that will get you all of your rows done. Okay, final step is putting your top and your bottom on. So this is it. Okay, just gonna press it. All right, that's it. That's your June block of the month. I'm gonna cut off all these little extra threads I've got going on here. Okay, so if you're not part of my Fabric VIP group, you can join at KarinaGardner.com. I send out a tutorial and a PDF every single Thursday so that you can sew with me. It's just totally free that I do so that we can sew together. You can also see all the fun things that I'm doing with blocks and otherwise, supplies, all that other good stuff on my Instagram feed at Karina Gardner. See you guys.